Yo, yo, yo. Yeah, what a weekend. What a weekend. Unfortunately, I'd be surprised if we had that good of a weekend in week 3. But this past weekend is the reason we all watched college football, isn't it? Among other reasons. We also watch to torture ourselves sometimes, don't we? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. What's up, Matt, Volusia, Wilkie, Stingray in the house. Nick. What's up, Nick? Yoda. My man, Scott Kerr. Yeah, boy, Hufferbilly Paw didn't know what to do after that Clemson game. He was confused. How you doing, Alex? Unfortunately, Clemson's on a bye week this week, so we don't get to see if they carry on that momentum. Well, that's fine. Have a week for a couple of weeks for our banged up players to heal before we take on NC State in Death Valley. I expected Clemson's offense to play better against App State, obviously, than they did against Georgia. But I don't think anybody expected the dominant performance on offense the way we saw it. Well, anybody who says that they did see that coming, they're just lying. What's up, Slim? Yeah, good luck, Stingray. Yeah, good luck with that. I made some changes to my audio. Can y'all tell a difference? Do I sound louder than I normally do? That's incomplete. People complaining about my mic being low, which I can't turn it up any higher. Every setting on my soundboard and my computer and everything is turned up to the max. But I did make a change on my soundboard. It's hard for me to explain. No, Slim. Dabo, don't you remember? Dabo got rid of the bandwagon fans last season. You remember that? He did some spring cleaning, or fall cleaning, as it were. Cleaned out the closet. They're all gone now. All 3 of them. Well, I had one Clemson fan, the fan police, yesterday on my State of the Fan address video. Boy, he was big mad. He's telling me I'm full of shit. I said I could coach Clemson's offense better than Dabo and Garrett Riley. And I should go root for South Carolina. They don't want us in Clemson. This might have been a player's parent or something. Hell, I don't know. And of course, at the end of his long comment, because he was mad at me, he said, "In Dabo we trust." So that tells me all I need to know about that guy. The difference between me and people like that guy is that I'm a fan of Clemson. People like that guy are a fan of Dabo. That's the difference between me and him. I don't care if Clemson scored 150 points against App State. They did a terrible job of coaching. They did a terrible job of personnel selection. They did a terrible job of play calling against Georgia, period. Nothing that they did against App State's going to change that. Nothing. Still would have lost to Georgia, but they should have put on a better performance than they did. But that's water under the bridge. There's a long season ahead. What's up, P Digits? Is it still cloudy in the low country? I was outside this morning. It's partly sunny. Yesterday it was 70 degrees. It rained most of the day, but it didn't. I actually had to put on a sweatshirt because my blood is thinned out from the heat of the summer. I actually had to put on a sweatshirt when I went out yesterday. It was beautiful. I'm making too much sense. Oh, of course he had to go ahead and let me know he's unsubscribing too. Whoopie fucking do. I don't know. I was looking at the weather report this morning. We're going to get back in the mid-80s this week, but it's still not bad. 84 pretty much all week. I can deal with that. Well, I can't ready for once we get into conference play around the country. I think that's pretty much starts next week, right? For most everybody. There's a couple of good games this week, but this is the last week of sort of mostly dud games. And week 4 should get interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't mind 40s at night right now. This October and November, at least in this part of the country, southeastern South Carolina, October and November is the two best months of the year weather-wise. You could say the spring, but the only reason the spring doesn't compete with the fall is there's still some humidity in the spring. There's not really in the fall. And also, if you're like me and you have allergies in the spring, then that's brutal. Pete, did Dabo say, fine, we're not running the Clemson O'Reilly, do your thing? No, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't see much difference. The only difference that I saw in this offense is they stretched the field. And that's because, well, guess what? They started two guys who can actually stretch the field. Imagine that. Imagine that. They took two guys off the bench who can actually stretch the field, and they actually did it. It's amazing what happens when you put the right players in place. And look, you got to give credit to Klubnik, because he was throwing absolute dimes out there. Absolute dimes. So hopefully, it wasn't a flash in the pan, and he can repeat that in a couple of weeks against NC State, because we're going to need him to. That makes a huge difference in the offense when there's a downfield threat. You have to make the defense respect the run and the downfield threat, and that opens everything up. That's what we've been missing. But I'm not gonna get too excited about it. I mean, I am excited to see what I saw on Saturday, but I'm not going to overreact to it the same way I'm not going to overreact to the loss to Georgia. I need to see it more than once for me to become a full believer. You know what I mean? I've been burned too many times. Hell, I mean, we saw some great games from DJ, but that was a short-lived celebration, and for a couple of years. Just to tell you how quickly things can change. After Notre Dame went on the road week 1, game day, the whole thing, took Texas A&M to the woodshed. Now, social media can be a little bit deceiving because you get the highest of the highs, and you get the lowest of the lows, reactions on there. I don't really know that it represents the average fan who's not on social media 24 hours a day. But, I mean, after they beat Texas A&M, Notre Dame's winning a national championship. Marcus Freeman's the best coach since fucking Lou Holtz. Fast forward 7 days, and they are ready to fire this guy yesterday. They're ready to fire this guy yesterday. What a difference a week makes. All right, let's get this thing started. All right. Happy Monday to everybody. Welcome to the Midday Show. I'm your host, PigskinPeete. Thank you for being here. A lot to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, we already talked enough about Clemson. Notre Dame goes down. Now I'm drawing a blank on the rest of the crazy games that happened. Oh, Alabama. I actually ended up watching that while I was streaming the Alabama and South Florida game because the Tennessee game became a blowout against NC State. So I switched over to Alabama because that one was actually interesting for the majority of the game. Now, if you look at the box score, you look at the final score, you'll say, oh, Alabama blew them out, no problem. If you watch the game, that's not exactly what happened. Now, credit to Alabama. They did what they had to do late in the game. They finally wore down South Florida's defense. That's the difference in depth between a team like Alabama and South Florida. But if they play like that in conference play, it's going to be a long season for Alabama. And Milroe just didn't look good for the first 3 quarters at all. I mean, he couldn't complete a pass. And South Florida's answer to that was, we're just going to load the box and force them to throw it. And Alabama had a hard time running the ball. So that game was, what, a 2-point game going into, with still 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter or something like that. So anyway, Alabama got it done, but I don't know. I'd be a little bit nervous if I was Alabama, struggling on the lines of scrimmage against South Florida. I mean, a little bit worried about that. You know. Oregon doesn't look like anything like what we thought they were going to look like. Colorado, boy, I might actually agree with Feinbaum for one of the first times ever. Feinbaum's been saying what we've been saying, well, us rational people have been saying for the past year, is that Deion's most likely leaving after this season. He doesn't handle losing well, and the culture of that team is absolute dog shit. Absolute dog shit. Shedeur Sanders walks off the field with 5 minutes left in the game. Travis Hunter's on the sideline throwing his helmet. Shiloh Sanders got hurt. I hate to see that, but that's one of their 4 good players got hurt, so now they're down to 3. Yeah. It's going to be a long season for Colorado, and it's going to be even longer season next year when Deion's not there and they have to start over, and they have 0 recruits. 0.0 Boise State running backs with beast. What's up, Zona, man? What's up, Riz? Chat, shoot 'em 556. How you guys doing? How you doing? All right, let's see who's in here. I see all you back there. I'm going to bring on Scott first. Well, I guess I can bring you other guys on too. You can listen. It's fine.
Indeed.
But what's up, Scott?
Hey, man. How you doing? Let me make a little complaint here. You know, DirecTV and Disney still in negotiations now. DirecTV is saying they're filing against Disney for some FCC complaint because of bad juju with the agreement. I don't know. But I had to pick up ESPN Plus to watch my Georgia football game. Now, Georgia was playing, a powder puff game with Tennessee Tech, but the actual video or the actual subscription and app sucks for ESPN Plus. I had to go out and restart about every 20 to 30 minutes because it would black out the damn screen and all I'd hear was audio. Then I had to go back in. Then it's showing closed caption of another damn football game. Another game I'm watching, another damn football game. So I had to restart my whole damn system to watch this. It was the most aggravating bunch of shit I've ever dealt with in my life. So anyone who's thinking like me that has DirecTV and thinking, well, let me get ESPN Plus for a little while, which is $10.99 a month. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not. We shall see.
I would just bite the bullet, Scott, and either get YouTube TV or Hulu TV.
Well, I'm certainly on that preface of doing just that.
Yeah.
A real quick question: did you just sign up online for Hulu TV, or did you have a representative you spoke with?
No, you just go on your TV and go to the. If you have a smart TV, you should be able to go to, there should be a setting for like apps, and then you just find Hulu on there and add it to your TV, and then go into Hulu and sign up and. You just do it right through your TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm close to being just right there, but I do have some fake news for you if you like.
Yes, go ahead with the fake news, of course.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's time for Peete Podcast Fake News, and here is the news that is exclusively on the Peete Podcast channel. Paul Feinbaum is a mean sumbitch. Not because of his sharp criticism, but many know Paul Feinbaum as a street fighter from some 20-odd years now. At nearly every town Paul attends a football game, Feinbaum goes out normally on Thursday evening in the worst part of town to pick a fight with the meanest person in the hood. Paul is known to knock people completely out. He is 280-0 in street fighting. Paul is also known for his knifing skills and cut many a person who has faced him. Feinbaum is also known to dodge bullets like Nemo from The Matrix. So don't let the skinny exterior fool you. Paul is one mean badass. Many broadcasters who talk with Paul are very afraid to say anything to get Feinbaum mad or upset. His nickname is Paul the Brutal Feinbaum. So, is Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer the legitimate or illegitimate child of Nick Saban? Well, certainly following in the footsteps after the South Florida game, rumors are flying like drones over Hezbollah that Saban had been in Millbank, South Dakota for a recruiting trip in 1973 and had a tryst with DeBoer's mother. DeBoer's mother married shortly after, so she wouldn't have to call her son a bastard of Millbank and give him a last name of Snow. Yes, a Game of Thrones reference. Saban held a press conference in his home yelling, "Why the hell won't you all leave me alone and let me enjoy my retirement?" Meanwhile, phone logs show that Saban had been calling DeBoer late at night, possibly to discuss offensive schemes and crock-pot recipes for game time Saturday. The story is to be continued. Meanwhile, there's trouble brewing in Athens, Georgia, with the latest arrests and criminal behavior of some Georgia players. It's gotten so bad that fans and alumni are asking for Kirby Smart's head. Literally. They want to cut off Kirby's head during the homecoming game this season, right on the 50-yard line, with an expert swordsman who has a sword made of Valyrian steel. Yes, another Game of Thrones reference. Kirby is asking to keep his head on his shoulders, please, and could they concede with knocking off his girl's visor hat with a Nerf ball? Negotiations are still underway. And lastly, Tim Tebow has announced he has given up Christianity and vows to be a Satanist. When asked why he's given up his Christian values, he said he never knew it was so much fun to be a sinner. He stated this while in a Las Vegas suite with a mound of cocaine and about a dozen or so hookers. When asked about the transfer, Satan said he had no idea that Tebow had done this, and he had no signed agreement. Satan held a press conference to say that Tim Tebow, possibly 20 years ago, may have been a great candidate, but now he's just a hack sports broadcaster. So right now, Tebow is playing on the practice team of Satan, and an agreement for his soul is to be determined. Peete Podcast Fake News is being brought to you by Stretchy Armstrong's Billiards Emporium, Toenail Clippings, and Daycare. Shoot a game of pool while having those fungus-infected toenails clipped, and bring the little children who only need to be shielded from the shrapnel of toenail clippings. Sure, we put baby in the corner, and they will be fine. A little dose of cough medicine and a sippy cup of natural light will knock them completely out. Find out 50% discount of your first toenail clipping in the Emmanuel County Most Wanted magazine, Stretchy Armstrong's Billiard Emporium, Toenail Clippings and Daycare on South Main Street by the Maryland Fried Chicken in Swainsboro, Georgia. At Hell's Angels Bar in Goose Creek, where it's happy hour any hour at Hell's Angels Bar, President and Chef Dick Wrench outdoes himself again with a happy hour appetizer known as Smam. It's mashed spam with white bread presented in a used ashtray. It's to die for. Literally, it could kill you. Never mind the smell of cigarette butts and turpentine. Hell's Angels Bar, right before Stumpy's Firecracker Stand in Goose Creek. Why did the skeleton not go on the roller coaster? He didn't have the guts. That's all the fake news this week. Your former Mexican wrestler known as El Gringo, Scott Kerr reporting.
Great job, Scott. I can confirm that taking cough medicine and a couple of sips of natural light will indeed knock you out.
Every time. Yep. NyQuil and a rye whiskey will do it for you too.
Yeah.
Guys, I'd love to stay in the conversation, but I actually have a doctor's appointment to go to, so I'll check on that.
All right.
Everyone have a good week.
All right. See you later, Scott. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Scott Kerr.
Wonder if Tebow could get a few at bats for Satan's single A baseball club.
Yeah, he'd probably do better for Satan than he did for the Yankees, though. Or what was he? The Mets. Yeah. One of these.
It was the Mets. Well, he had a few homers in spring ball for the Mets. That's
the Mets. That's what it was. Oh. Anyway.
Play for some minor league.
Yeah. Anyway, good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Yeah.
What do you say we go ahead and get this out of the way too? We got the fake news in the books for the week. Let's go ahead and get this one out of the way too. What's up?
Oh God.
How you doing, Pete? This morning?
I'm amazing and fantastic. How are you doing?
Well, I woke up pretty good, and I had my coffee. Oh, hey, Slim Shady, how are you today, sir?
You might not.
He's not ready to talk to you yet. It's too early for him. No, he just dropped out.
We might have a. We might be.
I was gonna say congratulations to the University of Miami for finally having the soul to wake up and actually play some good football. I watched that game this week, so.
Well, Miami
2 for 2 this week.
Yeah, you're probably about the only one.
Yeah, you watched Miami and Florida A&M.
And you said finally woke up this week. Did you not see them play against Florida?
I did see them play against Florida. That's what I mean. They finally woke up and played some good football against Florida and Florida A&M.
Yeah.
So actually, they're doing something good around here.
Yeah. Did you happen to watch the Clemson game, Caden? Because you're one of the ones that said that App State was going to beat Clemson, didn't you?
I did watch the Clemson App State game, and I will say this: I am 2 for 2 this week.
What?
No, you're not. You picked
2
App State,
losses, including the loss I took to Clemson, and my loss that I took to Tennessee.
You go. Yeah.
Okay.
And but I still have 2 wins on the board, and that's Texas against Michigan, which I was laughing my guts out after that game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think most people had Texas against Michigan.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot of Michigan fans that said Michigan was still bad.
Well, okay, outside of Michigan fans is what I mean.
Well, I thought Michigan would put up their defense would slow Texas down more than they did.
Did not come to pass.
Well, Slim Shady, I was going to say good morning, sir.
Howdy.
You know what, Slim? You're one of my favorite people on YouTube. I am going to tell you that right now. You are one of my favorite people on YouTube besides Sea-Dog.
He doesn't know what to say.
I'm not sure what to do with that.
What, you never heard of an Ohio State fan being a fan of a Miami fan whose YouTube channel is pretty good? By the way, subscribe to Slim Shady Kane's YouTube channel. Guy's awesome.
Here we go.
Yeah.
What? I'm giving you. I'm telling the truth, Slim Shady. You're good on YouTube. Like, come on.
Of course he is. That's why I have him on every week.
And you should, and you dang should.
I am. Yes.
And let me get this out of the way. I hope Miami beats Clemson bad when they do play each other.
Well, if we do play each other, that means we both had a pretty good regular season. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I thought after the Georgia game, Clemson would have got rattled after that and then, lost in overtime. But I guess Kay Klubnik decided to tell that locker room to wake up after the Georgia loss.
And also, he told the Mirror to wake up, too.
Yeah.
I didn't think Clemson fans were that smart.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not going to take I'm going to take beating up on App State with a grain of salt and a shot of penicillin.
I'm with you there. It's not the fact that they beat up on them; it's how they did it, though.
Right.
I mean,
one win over a Sun Belt team does not a season make. I think we all understand that.
Yeah, I think we all understand that. But a lot of people played Sun Belt teams this week. How many of them scored 8 touchdowns in one half?
Right. Yeah, a lot of people played some shitty teams this week and looked like crap.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, I mean, a win against the Sun Belt is better than a loss to the MAC. So
right, and App State is not the bottom of the dregs of the Sun Belt either. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
I did hear from some Appalachian State fans, and I do have a friend who's from Appalachian State, and he was telling me that rumors are that Appalachian State is possibly moving to the Big 12.
That's not a thing.
Well, we've been hearing that every year for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my 2 cents on it. If they do move to the Big 12 might be the next power uprising in the ACC.
Huh?
Appalachian State is not going to the Big 12.
No.
They would fit better in the ACC, honestly, but that doesn't seem to matter anymore.
Go to the ACC.
Well, UNC's already in the ACC, so App State can go to the Big 12 if they want to. That's their decision.
Right, but they're not going to get an invitation. Their athletic budget is not big enough to go to the Big 12.
Yeah, who says that that we can't have 5 teams in North Carolina in the ACC?
So what? The cutoff is 4? I don't understand. There's already 4. So what's another one?
Right.
Matter.
Yeah, I guess y'all might as well add East Carolina too.
That would happen before App State.
Listen, the Big 12, I will say this about the Big 12, and this is my 2 cents on the Big 12. And speaking on that matter, Cincinnati moved from the AAC to the Big 12. When I heard that, I was like, no kidding.
Yeah, that happened. That happened a while ago. You're like way behind the times here.
This is year.
The Big 12 is the worst power conference in football.
I wouldn't say really the worst. I mean, I wouldn't say really the worst, Slim Shady, just because there's some good teams. There are some good teams.
But they're the worst of the Power 4. They're in 4th place.
I mean, that's true. That is the truth, Slim Shady, but they still got some good teams in the conference.
Well, I didn't say they didn't. I'm just saying when it comes to power conferences, They're in 4th place, 1 spot right behind the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, I want to believe that's true. I'm not going to argue with you at all. Go ahead.
Well, it absolutely is true. You have 1 team worth a buck in the Big Ten. Maybe 2. We'll see how USC turns out.
And who is that one team?
Well, it's obviously Ohio State.
And I saw the AP poll rankings as of yesterday morning, and I'm pretty happy. You know, most Ohio State fans would say, "Oh, we should have been number 2, still number 2." I say not. Now that's just me because I feel like Texas actually brought it against Michigan, and I give them credit for beating Michigan.
Well, whether you're 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or even 10 in week 2 is absolutely irrelevant in the AP poll.
It is.
Yeah. Just love week 2 overreactions.
Gotta love them.
Just like, what did Clemson end up at? 22 or I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
22.
And Notre Dame only dropped to what, 18?
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I would consider your loss much better than Notre Dame's,
right?
Even though theirs was obviously a closer game.
Well, yeah, but right.
Yeah, against an FCS team, yeah. At home, too, by the way.
They're not FCS.
A MAC team, sorry.
My deepest condolences to the Georgia Tech faithful out there. 1 week in the AP poll in 10 years.
Yeah, well, look.
My deepest condolences go to the Georgia Tech fans as well.
Oh, man. Did y'all see Fran Brown after the game?
Yeah.
What he said?
Stick up his ass about some perceived slight from Brent Key.
He's claiming that Brent Key said that they weren't a physical team, but according to the Georgia Tech fans, that can't be found anywhere on the internet. So they're saying he made it up.
So I was listening to a Georgia Tech fan talk about this, and essentially Brent Key just answered some question with a totally benign answer about how he wants his team to be a physical team. And I think Fran Brown just decided that he needed some bulletin board material and got his panties in a wad about it.
Look, there's one thing if you want to use it as bulletin board material for your players in the locker room before the game, but in a post-game press conference to act like, he was somehow slighted or something, I don't really quite understand that.
I think the other one was that it apparently when Fran Brown was a player at Western Carolina, Brent Key was a graduate assistant and an assistant coach there. And someone asked Brent Key before the game if he remembered Fran Brown. He was like, I don't really remember, and I don't think he meant anything by it. I just don't think he fucking really remembered it because he coached on the offense and Fran Brown was deep. And so, I don't know. I think Fran Brown just decided he wanted to get upset is what happened. Yeah.
Also, obviously, he was the defensive backs coach for Georgia, who was Georgia Tech's rival. So there might have been a little something there that carried over.
Sure.
Oh, whatever. I don't know.
He's just Pigskin Pete. I commented on C-Dog's video, and I said, Georgia Tech is a coordinator because he needs to put some spine back into those guys over there. Yeah. That's just my 2 cents.
Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech hires C-Dog.
Look, Georgia Tech is an okay team. They're better than average team. That's what they are.
Exactly.
That's just it.
Exactly. Well, I had Georgia Tech going 7-5 at first. Yeah. Then they beat Florida State, so it looked like 8-4. Now it looks like 7-5 again because they bounced out with a loss to Syracuse, which is a game that I had them winning. So.
And Georgia Tech's just a 7-5 team, and they're probably going to be they're not favored to beat, and then they'll go ahead and lose to some team they are favored to beat, and they're going to go 7-5, and that's fine. They haven't been to a bowl game. I don't know if they went to one last, but they've been pretty bad for a few years.
They did go to one last year.
Last year.
Well, they're going to be a pretty good team, which is better than what they had going on for a while. Only Zona and maybe some Georgia Tech fans overreacted to the Florida State win. Georgia Tech's just a pretty okay team.
Yeah, Zona's saying he still has Georgia Tech winning the ACC. I don't know exactly where you're coming from with that, but
I don't think Zona actually does, because I've met Zona Man and he's a bright individual.
I don't know.
So
Well, he just typed it in his comments section, so I don't know. Maybe he's trolling.
And Pigskin Pete, I wanted to tell you this. Guess what I just received in my email this morning from?
What?
I don't know.
Confirmation for your lobotomy upcoming?
Yeah, confirmation for your fleshlight order?
Nope. It was actually from
Flashlight.
Oh yeah, turbo flashlight, dude.
Oh, come on now. Don't leave us hanging with this suspense.
fucking
I hope it was a confirmation for a new phone service.
Well, apparently it wasn't the confirmation that he paid his internet bill.
Look, I'm sitting here struggling with 2 bars, and I ain't got them kind of problems. Jesus.
Yeah, I got 1 bar, but
Well, all right. Thanks for coming on, Caden.
Well,
but I'm on Wi-Fi, so
Wi-Fi.
He's good for about 5 minutes. He's starting to grow on me a little bit. You know what I mean? But I can still only take about it. When Caden comes on, it's the Caden show. It's not the Pigskin Pete show anymore.
He's kind of like George.
A little bit.
yeah. When George comes
Yeah,
on,
yeah. If George was from Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, if George was, 16 and from Ohio, and,
Yeah.
didn't cure racism in Florida over coffee.
Right. Well, George is from Oregon, so
No, he's not. He lives in Oregon. He's from Florida. He's a Florida man. He moved out to Oregon because his kids live there and weed's legal.
Yeah.
right.
That's the only 2 reasons. Oh. Let's look at some of these games this week. I'm not going to actually go over taking my picks. We're going to do that tonight on the Lunch Money Show, but I'm just trying to find. There's a lot of bad games this week, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
There's some okay games.
Yeah, there's a couple.
I don't have another game worth watching till maybe South Florida. Maybe that's going to be a game.
No.
The way but I don't know. Maybe they're just playing Bama tough. Shoot their wad against Bama, and then that's that.
Yeah, sure. That's almost certainly what it is. Yes.
Yeah, they shot their. Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a game worth watching, then fuck Virginia Tech maybe, but I don't know there either. They lost to Vanderbilt.
Get off on Alabama for 3.5 quarters and shot their wad. Yeah.
Right. Well, the important thing about that game, and I hope this is the case, because I was up watching and we definitely flipped to one of the games, to one of our TVs to that game when it was 14-13 in the fourth quarter, and it took until like 4 minutes left to get any better than that. And so I hope that some of the pollsters paid attention to that and didn't just flip over, oh yeah, Alabama won by 4 touchdowns, let's just keep them where they're ranked or whatever. Because I hate
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the AP voters, they don't watch the games.
Right.
Yeah.
Ran up the score at the end to try to hide that they struggled when it was 35-16 with 1:47 to go. They could have just taken a knee, but they wanted to score another touchdown to make it not look as bad.
Yeah, they don't have the grace that Boston College has.
That's right. Speaking of Alabama, they play Wisconsin this week in Wisconsin. Now, game day is in South Carolina.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
They announced that right after the South Carolina game ended when they whopped Kentucky.
By the way, I want to point out how horrible that South Carolina-Kentucky game was.
Horrible for who? For Kentucky?
It was horrible for Kentucky, that's for sure.
Bro, yes, dude. The average length of each drive, Kentucky 13 yards, South Carolina 19 yards. South Carolina only gained 240 some yards in that game. They sucked. It's just that Kentucky was that much worse. Both teams are shitty.
Yes.
I think South Carolina is pretty good defensively.
Yeah, they have a good D line. Their offense sucks.
Who could have guessed that that Kentucky and South Carolina will be playing to host College game day?
Fucking hell.
Yeah, LSU and South Carolina.
Right now, I mean, I can come up with a better place to take it than that. Jesus.
And not to mention, South Carolina is a 7-point dog at home against LSU.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced LSU. That's another one. Like, that game was close late, and LSU ran away late to make it look good if you're just looking at the box score.
And they were playing an FCS school.
Yeah, like, LSU has problems.
You're playing Nichols. Nichols is pretty tough. I mean, in Kirby's first year,
Yeah, I remember that.
almost beat us. So
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, they might be tough, but
They're not.
you know,
They're fucking
Miami
tomato
just got
can.
done playing the back-to-back HBCU champs and beat them handily.
Right. No, Nichols is a tomato can. It's insane.
I would have rather seen Wisconsin have game day, but I don't really care that much either way. But LSU and South Carolina seems like a stretch to me. And
Washington and Washington State. That's the
the Civil War. Yeah.
That's the Apple Cup.
No, it's
Both
the
those
Oh,
teams
the
are
Apple Cup.
undefeated.
Hey, man,
Oregon
Wazoo looked good Saturday.
Yeah.
I watched some of their game.
And they're downtrodden as fuck. They deserve it.
The Civil War is on this week, though. Oregon and Oregon State.
Yeah, both those games are this week.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I don't know if I'm going to pick Oregon to win it.
Well, I'll take Oregon State in the 14 points for sure. But
Well, I don't want to give it too much away from the Lunch Money Show tonight, but that's probably going to be one of my locks of the week. It's like 16 points or something, and I'm with you. The game's in Oregon State, too.
it
Hey,
is.
listen, and imagine the fun I'm having with Oregon fans online right now.
They
I'm
are.
pushing all kinds of narratives all over Twitter, and Oregon fans are hot.
Well, you know what they should be hot about? The way their team's playing. That's what they should be hot about. They shouldn't be mad at you.
Did you guys watch that game? I watched that whole game.
I did not.
So I was with an Oregon fan in the bar, and we were watching it.
Hot and
And we
Bob.
watched
I
every
wasn't
fucking
ordering
snap of that
fucking
game.
Peacock to watch that game.
Exactly.
So you just
Bullshit.
pirate it. You use a. I mean, come on.
Hired it hard.
Yeah. Anyway, so we watched every damn snap of that game. The second half of that game was fucking insane. You had, Oregon with the punt return for a touchdown, then they fumbled, and Boise on the next possession, Boise State gets an 80-yard touchdown, and another turnover. Boise State gets another long touchdown drive. Oregon runs the ensuing kickoff back for a touchdown, but the guy does the stupid thing where he drops the ball before he crosses the goal line, right?
Oh, God.
But then they reviewed it and said he still had a little bit of control of the point of the ball as the point of the ball crossed the goal line.
Oh, man.
Well, it stood, and then Oregon ended up having to get the ball back and kick a field goal as time expired. It was an absolutely bizarre second half of that game.
Bizarre.
That's all right. It fucking
was going through it, dude. My buddy Phil was absolutely going through it, dude. Emotional roller coaster for him and his fucking Ducks hat over there.
That's all right. Even after a big win, like all you can really do with, FCS opponents like that is, point out things that need to be fixed. So I'm like public enemy number one with Miami fans right now because I was bitching about some things. Well, and in my opinion, that deserved bitching. Like, they just completely lost focus, like, towards the end of the first quarter. They got a nice little 2-3 touchdown lead, and it's like they just went, whatever. And I was aggravated about it, and apparently so was Mario, because he had some choice language for the sideline reporter on his way to the locker room, and I'm assuming proceeded to break foot off in ass.
Here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm not going to give my picks because, again, I'm doing the Lunch Money Show tonight, so I don't want to give it away. But I'm going to ask you guys and just give me who you would take with what points on a few games here. All right. Alabama at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 15.5-point dog at home. Who you got?
That's a hard fucking game.
It is a hard game to pick. You're right.
Yeah, I think that that Bama wins, but I would give Wisconsin the points.
I want to agree, but Wisconsin does suck, man.
Dude, Tyler Van Dyke has looked terrible. Give me Alabama on those points all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Alabama to win by at least 17-21.
Yeah,
Wisconsin sucks.
You're thinking Alabama rebounds after that embarrassing game against South Florida.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty good pick there. All right, LSU and South Carolina. South Carolina 7-point dog at home.
Give me LSU. I think South Carolina blows. LSU's not that great either, but fuck that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take, and I probably will bet this. I'm going to take South Carolina on the money line.
On the money line? Wow. Well, you'll get.
They're outright going to beat them.
The money line's plus 220, so you'll more than double your money if they do that.
If they do, it's going to have to be like. It's going to have to be like 17-16 or something like that. You might as well parlay that with the under.
Well, unbelievably, the over/under is 51.
Yeah, if you're taking South Carolina on the money line, I'd pair that up with the under because South Carolina's offense is butt ass. They're terrible.
I need to get my pen out here.
I might parlay that with the under now that you mentioned it because I
I
didn't know
would
what
do
the under
that if
was.
51 is way too fucking high if you think South Carolina's winning that game.
All right.
Way in hell South Carolina breaks 24 against LSU. No, especially like 27. Not a damn chance.
Well, actually, that fucking Kentucky's defense very well may be better than LSU's.
Right, but Kentucky's offense is just handing them the football over and over again. Kentucky's offense is even worse.
Will Florida State bounce back at 0-2 against Memphis at home? They're favored by a touchdown, 7 points.
I saw 5.5. Are they a touchdown now? I saw 5.
It's 7.5 according to DraftKings right now. I mean 7, not 7.5. 7 points according to DraftKings right now.
Over 7. Go ahead, son.
I was just gonna say I picked them to bounce back against Boston College. I'm not touching this.
I would if it's 7.5 or more, I'd take the points with Memphis, but I do feel like Florida State will find a way to win.
Yeah, I'm with Slim. I'm not going to touch this game probably. Florida State needs to show me something before I can do anything, even think about betting on them.
I do think they should win it because, I mean, we've seen them play 2 conference opponents. So it's not like we've seen them drop a game to, McNeese State or something.
Well, I mean, this is not an ACC game, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Memphis is probably better than a couple of teams in the ACC. So.
Right, they're 0-2 in the ACC, but it's not an ACC.
Memphis lost their starting running back game 1.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
They've got others, and because I'm obviously living in the area, I kind of follow them.
Oh, right. Yeah,
they've got others, but the starter was a starter for a reason. And let's just be honest: if a average group of 5 team, is going to beat a Power 4 team, then they need to be firing on all cylinders with all their best players.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I say, I wouldn't. Does Florida State have more of a bounce back factor or more of a quit factor in this game? Is the question.
Well, yeah, and who plays quarterback?
Well, I think they also had a bye week this week, so gives them a week to get their heads right. But like I said, I wouldn't touch this game with a 100-foot pole.
No.
This game's interesting. Boston College at Missouri. Missouri 16.5 points favorite at home.
That's on my sheet. I instinct rather is to take the points with BC, but they might get their doors blown off. How much do we believe in Missouri?
They lost their best offensive weapon off last year's team. And they played a couple of, whatever that running back's name was. He had like 16.
Cody Schrader.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Cody Schrader had like 1,600 all-purpose yards last year.
Yeah, I like Luther Burden, of course.
They played a couple of, St. Mary's School of the Blinds.
Yeah, tomato cans. Yeah.
It's an interesting game, I think. I think Missouri is legit. I'm still on the fence about Boston College. I think they're a tough out.
Yeah. Right. Now they have a talent disparity. How big is that? A, B. How much is their sort of their pro style offense, their tough scrambling quarterback, their ability to control the line of scrimmage, at least to some extent? Is that good enough to keep the play count down, to keep the game close?
I do like Boston College quarterback.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
16.5 points seems like a lot to me. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's where my hang up with that is. I'm not sure if Boston College will win it, but I like Boston College and 16.5 points.
I think Mizzou will win. The trouble is the points. Yeah.
Right. I agree. I think we all agree.
Okay, let's see. I'm moving. All right, so now we have the Civil War.
Yeah.
Oregon State.
Oregon State for points. Yeah.
Oregon State plus 16.
I have not seen Oregon State yet this year, but I know Oregon is disappointing.
So I watched a bit of the Oregon State San Diego State game this weekend. They went to San Diego and shut out San Diego State. So I don't know what that means per se, but it means that they're not a terrible team, doesn't it?
I mean, San Diego State is higher on my totem pole than Idaho.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah, Oregon State is also higher on the totem pole than Idaho. So.
Right. I like taking the points there with Oregon. I mean, Oregon could decide to show up and drop 55 on them, but I wouldn't bet on that.
Well, something that strikes me about this Boise State game with them, and this has happened under multiple coaches, so this isn't. I think this is more of an Oregon thing. This is Oregon's first win all time ever against Boise.
That is true.
Wow.
So is that just a Boise, Oregon thing, or
I don't.
Are we believing what we've seen the last 2 weeks in a row?
I like taking the points in that game.
I'm definitely watching this game. I might even stream this one. I haven't seen Oregon State play, so I'm kind of wanting to. That's an interesting one there. How about this? This could be a sleeper of a good game, honestly. If you watched Oklahoma at all this year, they're a little bit up and down. Oklahoma hosting Tulane. Oklahoma 13.5 point favorite.
Oklahoma was fucking awful this weekend, and Tulane was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tulane always gives these teams fits, too. I don't know, man.
If we remember, I think it was 2 years ago, Tulane played Oklahoma and very nearly beat them. So, I mean, like, it was like Oklahoma had to, score at the very end to win. And so instinct says take the points there, right? Jackson Arnold doesn't seem to be nearly as good as we thought he would be.
Well, I'm not going to say who I'm taking. Did you see Brent Venables' post-game speech on the field? Not speech, but interview.
I saw some of it. He said that they should have lost.
Yeah, he said we should have lost. Basically, he said we played like shit. We should have lost.
They did. They were fucking terrible.
I mean, that's kind of okay. Kudos to Brent Venables for that.
Yeah, he did.
It was a mess.
Well, I'll say this: I don't know about Tulane now because that was 2 years ago that they beat USC.
Yeah, I mean, I saw. Did you see their game yesterday or not yet? This past weekend?
Yeah, they all.
I saw the score, but I didn't.
Yeah,
no, it was they that game should have gone to overtime. They kind of got screwed by a bad call at the end.
Yeah, they did.
Kansas State's score was the go ahead score was because Tulane's quarterback totally did one of those total fuck ups and fumbled, and they ran it back for a touchdown. I think that they outplayed Kansas State. They probably should have won the game.
Yes, well, I think what happened with the bad call is that the refs called a pick play. They called offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
But actually, the Tulane receiver was being held by Kansas State DB.
That's what happened, and again, it canceled the game-tying touchdown.
I'll tell you one thing from a betting standpoint. If for anybody who believes that this Oklahoma should probably be on upset alert, if you're looking for an upset of the week, this might be one of them. And Tulane on the money line plus 425. So that's a payday if you bet Tulane on the money line and win that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this. For Oklahoma's sake, they better show everybody something this week because they got Tennessee coming to town next week.
No, they're going to get steamrolled.
Oklahoma has Tennessee next week? Is that who you said?
I thought they played Auburn next week.
Well, they're playing Tennessee soon, man. Tennessee might be a wagon. Tennessee's pretty good.
I may be wrong, but it may be week. I could have swore it was week 3, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe the next week.
Yeah. I know that they play Tennessee and Auburn next, but I can't remember in what order. But yeah.
All right, moving on to the Trash Can Bowl. Texas A&M and Florida in the swamp. Yeah. Florida 4.5-point home dog. A lot of home dogs this week in the Power 4.
Yeah. Yuck.
Oh. Over under 47.
No, I did have the misfortune because I may have told you this. The bar that we go to in the morning to watch the games is run by a Gator man. So we had the Clemson App State game on one TV and the Florida Samford game on the other. So I did have to watch a whole bunch of that game. And yeah, I mean, Lagway threw for 1 million yards against Samford. I did see he had like one of those fucking little Tom Brady pop passes. You know what I'm talking about? Where the receiver goes in motion and he takes the snap and just immediately like chucks it to him like 2 feet in front of him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then he took it 80 yards for a touchdown. So Lagway got 80 of Lagway's passing yards were from that. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I have to think about this game.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I take Florida at home, I guess. Whatever.
Another rivalry game, Pittsburgh and West Virginia. There's a bunch of good 3:30 games. You got Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Texas A&M, and Florida, Tulane, and Oklahoma. Those are all at 3:30. Notre Dame and Purdue. We didn't even talk about Notre Dame yet, but God almighty. They got to go to Purdue also.
Yeah, and they're laying 12.5, I see. Or
12 according to DraftKings, yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. Again, instinct says Notre Dame, but
yeah, because I mean Purdue is terrible, but Notre Dame coming off of a terrible loss. So,
but Notre Dame does tend to, because they've had some terrible losses the past few years, Stanford and Marshall, and they usually do play decently well in the next game.
That's a good point. Although Notre Dame's offense, man, holy shit. God dang, man. Oh, boy.
Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit.
All right, so they win that game 13-0.
13-0. All right. West Virginia, Pittsburgh. This is interesting.
Pitt's at home. I like
Pitt's at home, and they're a dog, another home dog.
Now, I watched, full disclosure, I watched the first 3 quarters. I had like 4 or 5 TV screens going on. I watched like the first 3 quarters of Pitt getting absolutely slaughtered by Cincinnati, cut it back on, and they scored 22 straight points and win.
Yeah, Pitt came back and won. Yeah.
Now, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know.
Boy, this is another 3:30. From the looks of things, all of the interesting games are at 3:30.
I mean, all I've seen out of West Virginia is I saw them get blown out by Penn State, and they played a nobody last week.
I'm not feeling too high on West Virginia right now.
Penn State absolutely sucked this past week, so I like Pitt at home straight up. Give me Pitt on the money line.
Pitt money line plus 114. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then the Apple Cup, Washington State at Washington. Washington State won. Are both of the teams in the Pac-2 undefeated?
Yes.
Oregon State and Washington State both undefeated going into week 3, I think.
Washington State beat the piss out of Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
they did. That game was over at halftime.
Yep.
So with that said, Washington State never beats Washington, and even though Washington's obviously nowhere near what they were last year, they're at home. Line's only 4. I'll take Washington -4.
Yeah, I hate Washington.
Washington -4. So Volusia likes Washington -4.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Now here, this should not be a game, and it won't be a game. But Slim Shady's on here, so we'll talk about it. Ball State at Miami. Now, of course, Miami's going to run over them, but -36.5. Now, I'll admit, I one of the games I lost this week, I took Alabama -31. Now they almost covered.
Yeah, I know. I'm laughing.
I know they almost covered. But anyway, At 36.5 is still a lot. And here's the reason I say that. Now, they should win by 40 or 50. But a situation where Miami's up, let's say by 24 at half, and then they put in their second and third strings and let balls. These big spreads scare me for that reason.
Yeah, you're worried about a backdoor cover.
Backdoor cover. There you go.
But I don't think you put in the backups if you're up 24 at the half. Now, for Clemson, you do when you're up 43 at the half. But 24, I don't know. I mean, how bad is Ball State, right? Can Miami's backups beat Ball State starters if they play half the third quarter and the whole fourth quarter? Does Miami still have a net positive on the point differential? I think maybe.
Yeah, probably. I still get scared by these big spreads.
Don't bet it. Definitely.
Well, I'm not going to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Trying to find another good one here.
I got a couple. I'm looking at my sheet right now. I got a couple for you.
Okay. Oh, not Virginia Tech and Old Dominion again. Now, we saw Old Dominion give South Carolina fits week 1. Virginia Tech is just, I don't know. Anyway, Virginia Tech is favored minus 14. Again, another ACC team going on the road.
It's so stupid.
And they lost to them a couple of years ago. What did they play 3 years in a row now?
Yeah, actually, the last 2 times that Virginia Tech has gone to Old Dominion, they have lost. So
you know what the craziest part about this is? Old Dominion's been in the FBS for like 10 years, and this, if that. And this is Virginia. I don't even think it's been that long. And this is Virginia Tech's 3rd time going there to play. Like, that's fucking crazy. What are you doing?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that they're scheduled to play Old Dominion every year through like 2030 something.
What?
So.
What a dumb idea that was.
Dude,
boy, oh boy.
This is the worst. This is, in my opinion, really gives the ACC a bad look. Clemson doesn't do this. Florida State doesn't do this. But I think I've seen every other program in the ACC do this, where they go and play a group of 5 team on the road.
Well, I guess.
I mean, Alabama went to Tampa last year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody's
that's in like a pro stadium in a big city where they're trying to recruit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to fucking Arkansas
No,
State.
it's not a pro stadium. USF has their own stadium.
Right. They didn't play at the Raymond James last year?
They did last year, I think.
I think it did.
I'm pretty sure they did last year.
This year, I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, what I'm saying is I can get that in a sense because Alabama wants to recruit Tampa, and but like going to play App State on the road, like I've seen North Carolina do, and going to play Arkansas State on the road, and going to play fucking Old Dominion. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess Virginia Tech and Old Dominion is a rivalry now.
Oh, right.
You might as well get used to it because the day is coming when Clemson's going to do it too.
I don't think so, man.
Yeah, they don't do it.
We have never done that. Ever.
If you think you're going to be exempt from it, you're fucking crazy.
I think we are exempt from it.
Well, I'm not saying never, but yeah, they just don't, under Dabo, they just don't do that.
We don't do that. Under Bowden, we didn't do that.
Well, it's not.
That's a more recent development in college football.
It's not up to Dabo, but
Right.
Well,
I don't
well,
it's the AD that makes those decisions.
yeah, but guess what? I'm gonna let you in a little secret here. Graham Neff works for Dabo Swinney.
Right. That's true. And yeah.
So-
But the other thing is that Clemson home games have a big enough crowd and draw enough people and generate enough revenue that I don't think they're going to want us to be playing in Boone, North Carolina. I think App State would actually rather come play us and take the check that we cut them.
I agree. Let me move on here. This is a nothing burger here. Well, Ole Miss and Wake Forest. Now, as far as the line goes, 23 points. What do you guys think about that?
I think Wake Forest is pretty bad this year.
Wake Forest against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Ole Miss. Yeah.
It's at Wake, but I don't think
that is.
And I think Lane is trying to win Jackson Dart the Heisman.
Oh yeah. I don't like that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Georgia at Kentucky.
Yuck.
Georgia favored by 24.
Well,
Boy,
24.
24 not enough.
I have a lot to say about this game. I'm not going to say it here, but oh boy. There is no money line bet on this for some reason. It's over under 45 and Georgia minus 24.
Yes.
I mean,
I'll
listen,
take the over,
Georgia's shown me
48-0.
Georgia's shown me that I have no reason to think that they're going to cover spreads because they just don't.
Well, they did against Clemson.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And doubled it, actually.
Going back to last year, that's kind of the anomaly if you look at Georgia over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, we
I don't know if you saw Brock Vandegrift.
He sucks.
Holy shit. Also, Kentucky usually is a very physical team. That's usually how their bread and butter. They don't usually have great skill players. But also, Kentucky, over their last 2 or 3 quarterbacks have been dual threat, strong runners. Vandegrift can't run.
Yeah,
He seems like a terrible fit for that offense.
Yeah, Vandegrift can run.
He can?
Apparently not. Did you see the game Saturday?
I seen
Caroline's really bad.
I've seen him run when he was when he was at Georgia. I seen him run in the times that he was in the game.
Is he going to run against Georgia's defense?
So he saw him against the third stringers of a bad team.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Kentucky's going to do a whole lot in this game. They already wet.
I don't either.
Take Kentucky in the points.
You'll take Kentucky in the points. Okay, so you like the 24. You like Kentucky to cover the 24 at home. That is a lot of points to be at home. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
Well, until Georgia shows me that they're going to cover spreads on a regular basis, I'm just not going to pick them.
Well, we covered against Clemson.
Will be
a regular basis.
And I have multiple years of data says you don't cover spreads. So
Okay. Now this is interesting just because it's a rivalry in-state game and everybody still has their eye on the Fighting Deons. Colorado State. This game's in Colorado State. Last year, that was one of the best games of the season last year. It was in Colorado. Didn't it go to overtime?
It did go to overtime, and Colorado State
went to double overtime.
So
right?
Colorado's a 7.5 point dog at home against the. I'm just going to say it, a bad. I mean, Colorado's not any good.
Colorado are favorites.
Yeah, 7.5.
Yes.
So
and Colorado State. I mean, they got destroyed by Texas in game 1, but that's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll probably take Colorado, but
I'm not.
Shit. Give me the points. 7.5.
Right at home too. If you get frisky, the money line's 230. It's pretty good payout there.
Hey, listen, if that team, if there is dissension in the ranks, I may pick Colorado State to beat them.
Yeah. It's not the worst thing I've ever.
Because you talked about it. Pete talked about it at the beginning of the show, man. Fucking Shedeur just walking off the field before the game was over. Like, that's a bitch move, for real.
Yeah, so I guess the guy who took out Travis Hunter last year is still playing for Colorado State.
Sure.
I guess.
I don't know.
Now,
I'm assuming he is.
That whole Shiloh injury, that may be addition by subtraction because Shiloh continually shows us why he couldn't get on the field at South Carolina.
Is he not any good?
Mid,
No,
yeah.
he's not.
Yeah,
He was back up at South Carolina. That should tell you all you need to know about him.
Yeah, tells me what I need to know.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on now. Brock Morris in the chat says that Shedeur was apparently injured. That's why he left early. Shedeur was injured?
right.
We know Shiloh was injured, but
I heard
Yeah,
that she
Shiloh
was
was
dinged
injured.
up too. I heard that.
all right. Well,
Shadeur's fucking feelings were injured.
all right. But if what he says is true, if Shedeur was injured and that's why he left early, all the more reason to believe in Colorado State, right? I mean, you need Shedeur to be 100% in every game they play. It doesn't matter who they're playing. I mean, he's one of the 3 good players on that team.
Here's the thing about Colorado. Not only can they not run the ball, they refuse to run the ball. And so they're not too hard to defend. Now, the question is, can Colorado State do that?
Yeah,
right?
they're not even one dimensional. They're 0.5 dimensional because it's just the Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter show, and that guy Horn.
And Jimmy Horn.
So 0.75 dimensional.
And I feel bad for Shador. Like, imagine what Florida State could look like with him.
I don't feel bad for him.
It's better than Colorado.
I don't feel bad for him. He's free to go wherever he wants. And
yes, but if you're going to have a certain level of loyalty to your father.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Except if you're Tyler Venables, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, that game comes. That's a primetime game at 7:30. I don't really have. Does anybody?
I got a couple more if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got Indiana is a 2.5 point favorite on the road against UCLA. UCLA home dogs to Indiana.
I don't know. I've really seen Indiana this year. I saw UCLA almost lose to Hawaii. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's an effect, the whole flying across the country for a conference game effect. That might be a thing. I might lean UCLA to win that game.
Oh, and I wasn't in here for it, Pete, but I'm kind of with you. I probably wouldn't pick Miami to cover that spread more than likely. They just barely covered the spread against Florida A&M.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was like 30, or that was, I think the spread was 46,
that's a lot.
Maybe and a half. And I think they won by like 47 or 48.
Yeah, but they did cover it, though.
Well, they did cover it.
At 47, that's a fucking lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
Well, and they barely covered it, and they were jerking off for half of the first half because, and this is something I worry about with this team, how can they handle success? How can they handle a top 10 rating? And I brought that up in the offseason.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if Mario got the message through, I think they'll be fine, which, judging by the second half, they did. But how many times is he going to have to break his foot off in somebody's ass in halftime before they don't do that kind of thing?
Yeah, do it. Break that foot.
Is that what happened to Deion's foot?
Maybe.
I thought he had
TCU is hosting UCF. TCU is a 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah, for some reason I got no interest in that game.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Justin Jefferson is not looking good with UCF.
Justin Jefferson, is that his name?
Or what does that do? Is it just? It's something Jefferson.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about the Arkansas kid, KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, KJ. Jefferson. Okay, I knew it was something Jefferson. Yeah, KJ. That's which you would think he would thrive in Gus's, boot read option.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to UCF going to the swamp and seeing what happens there. That'll be fucking funny.
Ooh. And apparently, old Billy Napier says is saying that old Murder Mertz is back in now that he's out of concussion protocol.
All right, then never mind. A&M.
Oh man.
I don't know. I mean, according to my preseason predictions, I have Florida beating A&M. So
Well,
yeah,
listen, we're using
one of the few wins.
Look, preseason predictions are out the fucking window at this point, Vic.
yeah, come on.
Hey, we're using the transitive property here, okay?
Yeah.
Notre Dame lost to NIU,
Right.
and Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame.
They
So
did.
thereby, they're worse than NIU.
Yeah, exactly.
But we didn't discuss whether or not we take NIU to beat Florida or not.
Right.
At preseason predictions, everyone and their mother had Florida State running over the ACC. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
To that, Lucia, Florida did run over Samford, so I think they beat NIU.
Yeah. Okay,
Now-
and then I got Maryland as a 2-point favorite at Virginia.
hey, Virginia with a big win this week.
yeah,
was a
they
big
beat.
comeback.
Yeah, they beat
They
Wake
did.
Forest
Who did?
by
They played
one.
Wake on the road, and they were down by 13 with a few minutes left, scored 2 touchdowns, and beat them by a point.
At 1 point. I'll take.
Shout out to Virginia.
Yeah, I'll
Tony
take.
Allen, baby.
Yeah, Virginia, I think right now is tied for first place in the ACC, aren't they?
Right,
they
Maryland
won.
lost to Michigan State.
Yeah, because they won a ACC game. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they don't have a loss, so Georgia Tech's they're 1-1.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they're tied for first place in the ACC right now.
Let's go.
Let's go. Shout out to Tony Elliott.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, let's go.
Considering where Virginia was at the end of a couple of seasons ago, listen, I got no hate for Virginia, and they were in a bad way. So, hey, shout out Virginia.
Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm rooting for him just because I like Tony Elliott. So I mean, yeah, go Who's. Now another game.
I'm biased against them because I got a fucking minor in possession when I went up there to a game, and they're assholes. But
That wasn't the football team's fault. That was your fault.
It definitely wasn't Tony Elliott's fault. So
No.
I'm rooting for him.
Now we didn't even talk about this. This is a game that I totally forgot about until now. California traveled to Auburn and put a whooping on them. Actually,
Yes, they did. ACC, baby.
Dude, Peyton Thorne, 2 of them got called back, and one of them I think was a BS call. Peyton Thorne should have threw 6 picks in that game.
Yeah, he's awful, dude. He's so
Well, I
bad.
mean, through 4, so.
Yeah, he's so bad.
Yeah,
His last
it
pass.
should have been 6.
Yeah, his last pass of the game was an interception, so.
And see, this is the problem. To me, this is the problem with modern offense. And you saw this problem with Clemson against Georgia, and you saw it again with Cal and UCLA. Offenses want to throw the damn ball so much. Auburn was averaging 5.6 yards a carry.
Yep.
Why did you get away from running the football?
well, yeah, I agree with you. Clemson should have ran the ball more. They were averaging 4 yards a carry against that great Georgia defense. They should have ran the ball more, but they didn't. And then on top of that, they had 2 of their best receivers on the bench. Two of their 3 best receivers on the bench.
Really? Guess what? They can play.
Yeah, shocker.
That don't mean Gabo's going to play him going forward.
I think he is.
He will.
I think he will. I mean, well, it would be criminal after their performance last week not to.
Well, I mean, the point is that he started them, and they got touchdowns in the first quarter in the first half against App State. It wasn't like they came in garbage time.
Well, between the 2 of them, they had 3 touchdowns. So you had two by Wesco and 1 by Moore.
Right, and Wesco caught the first pass of the game.
Yeah, 70-yard bomb.
Yeah,
So,
and then a 50-yard bomb like the next drive.
yeah, I would.
I don't get it. Do some people not watch football? I'm sitting here having to answer questions in that damn post-game show about Miami not running the ball enough. They passed for 300 and they rushed for 250. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's about as balanced as you can get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about, because I want to trick Arizona, man, here. Did we talk about K-State, Arizona?
Why are you picking on Zona, man?
we did not talk about that, but
I'm not even gonna,
actually,
I'm not even going to finish that statement. I'm going to be nice.
I'm actually surprised that I skip over that because that's actually an interesting game there.
He likes. I'm not really picking on him, but he does like to throw shit.
Skipped
at
over
him.
it because it was a Friday game, but yeah.
I was going to say pick on somebody your own size, but
Oh no, I'm
that
not
would have
doing
been
that.
an inappropriate joke with Zona.
I
so
didn't.
I'm not
I
gonna
say
do
nothing
that.
of that nature.
That's actually one of the more interesting games of the week. Yeah, there it is. Arizona and K-State Friday night at 8:00. Wow.
K-State. I have him as a touchdown favorite at home.
A touchdown favorite, 7 points. Okay.
That's what I have it at too.
honestly, I thought coming into the season, Arizona could make some noise because even though they lost their coach, most of the talent stayed.
Yeah. They did look real bad last weekend, so maybe that was just sleepwalking. I don't know.
Let me ask you this, since we're talking about K-State. Again, way too early, but we've seen two weeks of football through all these conferences. Who do you think is the best team in the Big 12?
It's got to be Utah.
Okay.
Gotta be.
I think I would agree with that.
I mean, because listen, after Saturday, I'm having to rethink some of my thoughts about the old Pokies.
Oh man.
State?
Yes.
Dude, I watched that game. Both of those teams are fucking terrible. Two of the worst coach teams I've ever seen in my life. It was awful.
Well, Oklahoma State is not a terribly coached team. Mike Gundy is a great coach.
They were in that game. Good God.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
It was horrible. For a really exciting double overtime finish, that game was awful.
He should have had the same response that Brent Venables had. Yeah, we should have lost that game.
You think?
Well, no. Instead, he's going to get in front of a camera and talk about how he's drank and drove 1,000 times.
Yeah. And about how
what the fuck,
now.
Man?
If you don't drink and drive, now you're woke or whatever.
Well, they were talking about Ollie Gordon catching a DUI.
Oh, right.
And he's like, hell, I've had a beer and drove home 1,000 times.
Yeah. No, he didn't say.
That's not the fucking answer.
He didn't say a beer. He said, I've had a few beers and drove home 1,000 times.
Which that's fine and dandy, a thought to have in the back of your head, but you can't get on a fucking camera and say that.
That's right.
No, that was one of the best / worst press conferences ever. He actually said, you know what I did? I went and looked up his body weight and how many beers it would take to be over the legal limits. It's like, bro, what are you doing? What are you talking about right now?
I mean, I get his point because listen, I can drink a beer or two and I'll walk a straight line for a mile.
Well, look, I get it. It's one thing to say that between you and your buddies. It's a whole different thing to say it in a press conference when you're talking about a college football team.
Right. Like we can all say that on this show, and we know that it's absolutely 100% true, right? And we know that I've done it a number of times too.
Of course, I think we all have. That's not the point.
Right.
It's just a wrong place, wrong time type deal.
I've drank and drove before. So.
Yeah, we saw you do that.
I've seen it.
Good.
You almost drove into a pool too. I thought I was gonna have to dive in after Vic and do a rescue mission.
Fuck, I thought we were gonna have to rescue some people's ankles.
He'd have been all right though. In the pool, he's a pirate, so he knows how to handle the water pretty well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Arizona Kansas State's an interesting game. So Kansas State 7-point home favorite. Again, I'm not going to get my pick on it, but I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
And also a decent Friday night game too. Most of the time, the Friday night games are just horrid. So that's a good one to watch on Friday night. I'll be watching that 8:00.
We play Virginia Tech on a Friday night. I don't know how I feel about that.
Do we have any Friday night games this year, Volusia? I don't think so.
We do not.
Thank God. We didn't have any last year either. We escaped 2 years in a row with no Friday night games somehow.
Oh, awesome. Because of course we haven't played weekday games at home.
You get to escape the curse of the Friday night road.
Well, it's what is it? Ranked road favorites on a Friday night is bad juju.
Well, I mean, it's any favorite on road favorite on a Friday night, but
yeah, and typically it is.
We've got Virginia Tech at home,
and typically it is the better team that does travel on the road on Friday night. Now, in this case, I'm not so sure that's true with Kansas State and Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
we don't play home games on weekdays ever. You know about this, right?
Yeah. We don't. Yeah.
You know why?
What do you think? You're fucking special?
Well,
we did it one time in 2002, and it was such a fucking clusterfuck on campus. They said never, never, never again. And Clemson agreed that we'll play Thursday and Friday games if the conference tells us to, but we're not hosting them. So that's why every single game that we play on Thursday and Friday night's always on the road.
Yep.
Fuck that. I'm starting a petition. Fucking Clemson needs to play at home on a Thursday and Friday in one season. They need them both.
No, we don't do that.
Y'all ain't fucking special.
Well, here's the thing: is we're actually screwing ourselves because then that means that we're the road favorite on Friday night all the fucking time.
That's true. Well, most of the time.
Before, you remember that fucking series?
I'm about to say it has been as of late, but
Friday
I mean,
the 13th.
if Dabo keeps heading down the road he's heading, you ain't gonna be too many favorites on the road.
It's lost.
But yeah, it has bitten us in the ass before. That's for sure.
I don't know. You keep saying down the road he's heading. The season's still on. We haven't seen how the season's going to end yet.
Yeah.
And look, dude, I mean,
No, we haven't. And listen, he may correct the ship, but whether you like it or not, he's been on a 5 to 6 year decline.
Yeah, and so on that trajectory that you and a lot of other people keep talking about, you're talking about 8-win season again this year or less. So what if he wins 11? What if he wins 10? So is he back in the right direction then? I mean,
he's got to do it.
I agree he has to do it. I'm with you there.
I feel pretty good that we're going to do it. Yeah, even before the App State game. The App State game is not going to make the season, but we're not playing a whole lot of great teams. And most of the better teams on our schedule have been absolute dog water so far this year. Florida State, NC State, Virginia Tech have been terrible.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying Dabo's going to get fired or anything, or even should.
Well, he's not.
But if he, and I agree with you, but at least as far as a certain segment of the fan base, and I think a pretty big segment of the fan base, his seat's going to get hot if he don't win the conference and or make the playoffs.
Not going to get
that. I think if we were to go 10-3 this year, I don't think that anyone's going to.
It's not going to get hot. First of all, I had this. I don't know if you would call it an argument or a debate, whatever it was, last week before the App State game. You know, Hufferbilly Paul was on a fucking. I mean, he went completely off the deep end after the Georgia game, right? So we're in the group chat, and he's telling me he's in there trying to convince us that Dabo Swinney won't be there next year, and neither will Graham Neff. And I go, where are you getting this from? Well, I know a guy, you know, this whole thing. I know a guy who's close to the organization. He says that they're fed up with Dabo Swinney in the transfer portal, and if they probably won't fire him because they can't afford to buy him out. But they're going to fire Graham Neff, and then Dabo Swinney's going to get mad that they fire Graham Neff, and he's going to quit. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Neither one of those things is happening.
Once again, yeah, I'm not saying Dabo would or should be fired, but from a certain segment of the fan base is going to have him on the hot seat.
Yeah, the fan base.
I'm not saying the administration or his bosses will.
Yeah, I mean, a large sector of the fan base had him on the hot seat after he lost 5 times to South Carolina. They still kept him there.
Right.
And that was before the national titles.
Neff is. I understand that Neff, at this point, his job is the football team and then the ACC and the TV contracts. But it shouldn't go without saying that the basketball team has been better than it normally is.
I'm glad you brought that up because I said, why would they fire Graham Neff? This might be the best overall that the athletic department at Clemson has ever been.
Right. The baseball team is back to contending nationally. We're a top 8 seed. The soccer team's won the national title 2 out of the last
3 years.
The women's soccer team's a top 5.
They made an Elite 8 in basketball. Yeah. If you look at all sports, Clemson is killing it right now. There's no way they would fire the guy who's done the best in the past fucking 50 years as an athletic director than him. The money he's bringing in, just the whole thing's asinine. It's not happening.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
Well, yeah, and I don't agree with that. Now, listen, there's still a scenario out there where if Dabo Swinney is a man of his word, he's not coaching Clemson next year.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but he's not. Come on.
Yeah.
People change their minds on all sorts of things.
We've been over this 100 times.
Well, hey, listen, and you may be right. He may be there next year, but if he's a man of his word and he sticks to what he says, he will be gone.
He'll definitely be. I'd be willing to bet anybody any amount of money. Dabo Swinney will be coaching Clemson next year.
Not only that, but we will sign at least one transfer. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that we will sign at least one transfer this offseason.
He has signed one transfer. Somebody transferring back to
No. One transfer that's not a fucking third string.
He did sign one that wasn't a former Clemson player too. What's Bear Bryant's grandson?
Yes, Paul Tyson.
Yeah, Paul Tyson.
Oh, I didn't know he had signed Paul Tyson.
Yeah, well, he signed Hunter Johnson too, but that's fucking the stupidest transfer ever. What I'm saying is, I think he will sign at least one, perhaps even two, if I'm thinking Randy here. That he might. I think he's going to sign at least one transfer at someone that will compete for a starting job.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think he probably will sign at least one, maybe more than one. We'll see.
It may just be one, and it may be a backup offensive line.
He does have harder. His whole thing is, well, they have to have more than 1 year of eligibility, so that eliminates a lot of them, unless they're a graduate.
Right.
If they're not a graduate, then they have to have more than 1 year of eligibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fine.
But that still does eliminate quite a few of them.
Okay.
Right. It does.
What it
Well, I
needs
mean,
to be
actually,
is,
to his credit, most of the guys Mike Norvell has gotten, have had multiple years of eligibility left.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, we don't want to compare ourselves to him, do we? But
well, I'm not. But I'm saying somebody at the other end of the spectrum, and I've heard that narrative pushed several places. Like, yes, he signed some one and dones, but even the majority of the guys he signs have multiple years.
right. Well, what Dabo needs to do, and I've said this, and so have many others, he needs to sign a player who's either coming off his freshman or sophomore year, who Clemson recruited out of high school. He decided to go somewhere else. It's not working out for whatever reason. Maybe his coach left. Maybe he's not getting playing time. Maybe he's this or he's that. And then Dabo goes and talks to him again because he's already recruited him. They already have the relationship and bring him in.
Do you know who fits that bill that you just described?
Who?
A certain quarterback at Ohio State right now.
Okay, sure. I mean, there's a shit ton of players like that.
The backup quarterback at Ohio State was almost came to Clemson.
I don't know that we need a transfer quarterback, though.
I think I'm speaking of Air Nolan. Is that his name?
Yes, I think. Rings a bell, something like that.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not saying that's going to happen. But
I don't know that we need a transfer quarterback, though. I don't think.
In your spring game, your backup looked worse than Cade.
Well, he played yesterday in the second half. Scored a touchdown. Was okay.
we played 4 quarterbacks against Appalachian State. All 4 of them.
Yeah. Vizina had a couple drives.
Vizina had a touchdown. Pierman played a little bit, and then Tyson played some.
I know. I would imagine. I don't think we need a transfer receiver now. I wouldn't mind getting a transfer, one on each of the lines would be nice.
Definitely on the offensive line. We're about to lose virtually our entire starting offensive line after this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say an offensive lineman or two.
That should be the focus number one in the portal is offensive line for sure.
And the rush end would be okay. And maybe if we want to get a nice speedy linebacker, although we're presumably going to groom Sammy Brown for that role. Obviously, you don't want to, bring anyone that's going to start over him. But yeah, an offensive lineman or two, and maybe a little bit of a pass rusher who's got a little bit of a track record already in college.
Speaking of pass rusher, any update on Peter Woods? I haven't seen anything. He went down in the App State game. I don't know how serious it was.
I haven't seen anything too concrete, although he was back up and walking around later.
Yeah, I don't think he's seriously injured or anything, but that's why I say it's probably a good thing that we're having a bye week this week to get people like him healthy. We're going to need him down the stretch in the ACC for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, NC State game time is at noon.
Of course it is. NC State's no good.
Are they, though?
What, are they no good? NC State's no good. Come on, man. They were terrible against Western Carolina. They got blown out by Tennessee. They're not getting good.
Really
well, they kept it close for a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. They were only down 17 at halftime. Yeah, that's cool. Jesus. They're awful. They were super overrated, too, this year.
Yeah, somebody here might have tried to tell you all that, but nobody wanted to listen. I don't know who it was.
No, say it ain't so.
I actually batted 1,000 on both NC State and Virginia Tech. I wasn't buying the hype on either one of them. I was buying the hype on Miami. I was buying the hype on Louisville because I screwed up on that last year. The only one that surprised me so far, well, in a good way, is Boston College, but it's still to be determined how good they are. And in a bad way, Florida State. I think they surprised everybody. Florida State did.
Well, I mean, Virginia Tech really hasn't let me down. Like, all I thought they were going to do is maybe win 8 games and kind of play spoiler for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's still
when you lose Vanderbilt, you've let us all down.
That's still possible. Slim, your prediction for Virginia Tech is still possible. They could still win 7 or 8 games and play spoiler to somebody. That's still in the cards. Hopefully, it's not Clemson. I don't think it will be, based on what I've seen so far.
Well, you got to go on the road to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late in the year, too.
Not super worried about that.
That's a good question Momo has. When was the last time Virginia Tech won 8 games?
2017, I want to feel like they won a number of games.
I don't know. I know we ran them off the field in 2017. I know that.
Yeah, we kicked the shit out of them in their own stadium, too, that year. But that was the year that Clemson and Miami were the best teams in the conference.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, kind of like this year.
Yeah, because we beat up on Virginia Tech. We beat up on Virginia Tech a week before we had that big win over Notre Dame.
So they won 9 games in 2017. And then I'll go through and see.
There you go.
9, not yet. So 8. I think that was 8 regular season wins and a bowl win.
They won 8 games in 2019. And then I don't think they've done it since. Definitely not.
No.
Probably not.
So there you go.
Well.
Yeah, I don't think they're very good.
Well, they're not.
I don't think that anyone on our schedule that's actually on the printed schedule is very good. You might think Louisville's okay. They might be. They haven't played anybody yet, and we're playing them at home, and they've never beaten us ever, ever, ever. So I'm not super concerned about that either.
And that's the thing. Most of the people that were picking Clemson to go 8-4, those are the same people that were very high on NC State and Virginia Tech.
That's right.
So that's 2 games right there.
Yep. And Florida State. Most of those same people had Florida State winning the league.
Now, I'm still not going to just, based on one game against App State, say that Clemson's going to roll through their schedule. They still could get beat. It's college football. But they should be favored in every single game from here on out.
I would be very surprised, and I'm to the point where I'm willing to say this publicly. I would be very surprised if we lose more than one more regular season game.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I would be. Actually, I did make a bet about that while we were watching our game. So,
well, I think I looked yesterday. The over/under win total for Clemson was 9 going into the season, and I think it's moved up to 10 now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I picked y'all to make the playoffs. So.
Playoffs. Playoffs.
Yeah, I have y'all in the ACC.
Well, the only sure thing for the playoffs right now in the ACC is winning it for any team. I think it's probably more likely if 2 ACC teams get in there.
I disagree.
Well, hold on now. Let me finish. I feel like it's more likely if there's 2 teams from the ACC that make it there, it's that if Miami loses the ACC championship game, they still might get in. And then
I think if Miami or Clemson.
Yeah. Or it could, yes.
If both of them have 11 wins going into that game,
they're both
in the playoffs.
Yes, I agree.
Unless there's a blowout in the ACC championship, which I doubt there would be. But
I'm not even going to say that because, I just do not. These fucking SEC homers never cease to amaze me. Like they seriously think that they're going to get 5 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
What I said. That's what I said. I had Georgia, I had Ole Miss, Texas, Bama, and Tennessee making.
Here's why it's not going to happen. Because and nobody looks at that. Like, guess what? I don't care that Notre Dame lost to NIU. If they don't have 3 losses at the end of the year, they're gonna be in the playoffs.
No.
Whoa, no.
I think that Notre Dame's got to win.
Oh, I do know about that.
I don't know. 2 losses, they might be out.
Yeah,
No.
because one of them's a fucking Northern Illinois. Yeah, I don't know about all that noise.
You saw Notre Dame get absolutely blown out in 2020 and still got in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they beat every team. I mean, Notre Dame beat every team they played. So.
Yeah, no, Notre Dame. That's right. Notre Dame was 11-1. That was the only. Yeah, and they had beaten us earlier in that year.
Here's why I don't think you'll ever get 5 teams from one conference.
Right.
Because in essence, everybody's only playing for 6 spots. Because your 4 conference champs are a lock. A 10-win Notre Dame is a lock. One group of 5 team is a lock. That's 6 teams.
Well, unless Notre Dame doesn't make it. Unless Notre Dame goes 9-3.
Right.
Okay, take Notre Dame out of it. You think they're only going to put 2 Big Ten teams in?
Well, then you're 7. Then you're playing for 7 spots. Right?
I think it's likely that. Yeah, I think it's likely that the Big 12 and ACC combined get at least 3, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
But let's call it 3, right? But maybe 4. But let's call it 3.
3.
And and then I think the Big 10 is definitely going to get at least 2 and maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody actually think that Notre Dame's not going to lose at least one more game? I'm here to tell you right now.
I think if they do, they're still in. A 10-win Notre Dame will be in.
All right, I'm here to tell you right now. They got to play. They play Navy every year, but they got to play Army this year too. Now, on paper, you'd say Notre Dame should win both those games. Both Army and Navy look pretty fucking good this year.
Yeah, look. The issue is that
they might drop one of those.
They play USC and Miami.
And USC and Miami. Yeah. Come on.
And Louisville. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, no, Notre Dame doesn't play Miami.
No.
They don't.
No.
They play, okay.
That's why they play Ball State.
They play Florida State.
Added those teams.
They should be.
They play Florida State.
Yeah.
They'll be Florida State.
So, okay, you look at their schedule. Maybe a loss to USC. That's about it.
Yeah, I think.
What about Louisville? They play Louisville. You said that.
They did. Yeah.
That's losable.
I don't. Maybe. I don't know anything about Louisville yet. They played, 2 cans of corn.
They played Georgia Tech too, according to Zona Man.
Yes,
shit.
Yes, they do.
I don't care. Georgia Tech still is what Georgia Tech is.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. I think that because of the nature of their loss, I don't know that 10-2 gets them in. I'm not saying they're definitely out at 10-2, but they'll be sweating.
Yeah, if the
committees ranked them before, they love Notre Dame.
If they get in with 2 losses, they'll get in as a 12 seed, barely.
Yeah, maybe, but they'll still get in.
No,
that's my point, though. It takes away from an SEC or Big Ten team getting a 4th or 5th team in there.
Now, I do agree with you that I don't think the SEC is getting 5 teams in there. I'm leaning somewhere around 3.
Yeah,
I think you're going to have 3 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 2 from each, the Big 12 and the ACC, a group of 5 in Notre Dame.
Right, and then if Notre Dame doesn't make it, then you might give the SEC a 4th.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Or how about a Boise State with 1 loss to Oregon?
Well, that's your group of 5 team.
Well, he's claiming maybe 2 group of 5 teams get in just based on the field.
Depending on where they rank them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also always screw those teams in the rankings too. So and they're not going to.
They tend to, and I'm not saying it's a long shot, but why not? I mean, you don't know how the rest of the season's going to play out.
He says no way in hell in 10-2 Notre Dame gets a bit over 10-2. The point is that there's not going to be 4 2-loss SEC teams.
3-loss group of 5 team get in? No way. No.
Well, unless they're the best.
Yeah, unless they're the highest ranked group of 5, then yeah.
Yeah, I doubt the highest ranked group of 5 is going to have 3 losses.
No, for sure.
I doubt it too.
So no, I'm not saying that a 10-2 Notre Dame gets in over a 10-2 SEC team.
I think they absolutely will.
No, but they might get in over a 9-3 SEC team.
I think they'll get over a 10-2 SEC team too. Just like I said, I'm only basing this off of how the committee has ranked Notre Dame in the past. A 2-loss Notre Dame was not outside of the top 10. They were like number 7.
One thing I'll say about what Slim's saying here is that at least if they were going to catch this terrible loss to NIU, at least it was early in the year, because if they right the ship and win a bunch of games, then they tend to forget what happened about the first, second, third week of the season when it comes playoff time, or at least they forgive it.
I don't know. Maybe, but they were 28.5 point.
I just don't think. I just based on the way I've seen them play, just don't think they're good enough. But I don't know. Maybe it was just one of those games where they just didn't show up, and they're a lot better than. I mean, they looked great against A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Ohio. They would have beat Ohio State last year if they had 11 men on the field.
Fucking idiots. Yeah.
Twice. Back-to-back plays, they had 10 men on the field. That was my head coach at one point, Al Golden.
I saw something I've never. Switching gears here. This has nothing to do with college football, but I was watching the NFL this week. I can't remember which game it was now. There was a play where both teams had 12 men on the field at the same time.
In the NFL, no less.
Yeah.
Probably was the Panthers, dude.
No, God, don't even get me started on them. Hey, you can't be talking. The Bengals look terrible.
Dude, I know. I know.
And don't tell me it's because Jamar Chase was out.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Yeah, Bucks look pretty good. No, it's not. Don't. Jamar Chase played. T. Higgins was out. Chase played.
Higgins did?
Yeah, Chase played. He caught 6 or 7 balls. And fucking no, Higgins didn't play because he was hurt. And yeah, I mean the Bengals fumbled. Fucking Christ, they scored a touchdown. They got called back because they said he didn't complete the process of the catch. Very next play, nice pass from Burrow. Guys walking into the end zone, fumbles it on the 1, no points. And then the very next possession, fumbled the punt return. And then the Patriots, one team that was running the ball really well and didn't quit running the ball, and they fucking ran the clock out. It was awful. It was really, really bad.
I'll tell you who to follow on Twitter if you're not following them. T. Higgins' mom.
Oh, yeah?
She is a savage on there.
Okay.
Because you know how NFL fans are, and college fans too. Like anytime a player, he's injured or doesn't play well, they go scorched earth on the player. And she responds to everybody that talks shit about her son. Somebody said yesterday, I guess they quoted her in a tweet, and they said, "Your son's hamstring is made of silly string," and she responded back, "Your mom's made of shit."
I'm cool with that.
She's coming out with the mama jokes. Oh.
Your mama coming out with a your mama joke.
That's exactly.
Well, unfortunately, I think that he's going to play somewhere else next year, and that sucks because obviously I'm a fan of his college team and his pro team, so I'd love for him to stay, but I don't know that they're going to.
Boy, I hope he doesn't go to Carolina and ruin his career. I hope he goes somewhere else.
Yeah. Send him to Jacksonville.
Hey, you know who's probably glad they didn't go to Carolina? C.J. Stroud.
I wanted them to go there instead of Young.
You say that, Slim. Carolina would be a lot better if they took him instead.
Exactly. That's who I wanted.
They really would.
Now.
Yeah, they'd be better than. Listen, the honeymoon with. I know. I understand the argument about Bryce Young doesn't have any weapons and Carolina's no good. Bryce Young's no fucking good either in the NFL. He's just not.
Yeah. I was wrong.
Let's stop it with that narrative now.
Bryce Young is not good.
Dude, did you see that picture of him walking in the facility with a backpack? He looked like a 12-year-old kid on his way to school.
Yeah. Bryce Young, great college player. He just doesn't translate to the NFL. Sorry.
Nope.
You could put him on the Chiefs, and he's not going to be any good.
Yeah.
So, but they got a lot of their main problem is their owner, the worst owner in sport. Carolina, as long as he owns that team, might not ever make the playoffs again.
I mean, here's my thing though. With that offensive line as bad as it is, C.J. Stroud wouldn't look any better. He
would look better than Bryce Young. Now, I'm not saying they would, be a great team or anything, but he's a better NFL player than Bryce Young by a lot.
By a lot. And they did spend some money to upgrade their offensive line this offseason.
How about the Falcons?
Yeah, well,
Fuck the Falcons.
Yeah, we suck. Yeah, we suck again.
The Falcons suck.
like I said, that division runs through Tampa Bay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Well, I mean, the Saints look good. I know it was the Panthers, but let's give the Saints a chance.
No, Saints no good either. That's just how bad Carolina is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Bucs played the fucking Redskins, so I mean, come on.
Hey man, they had the great Taylor Heineke, but they got rid of him.
Daniels looked okay, didn't he?
If Tampa Bay doesn't win the NFC South, they need to fire their head coach immediately. Immediately.
Yeah, I don't know. It's 1 week's not enough. I mean, like I said, the Bengals are.
I've seen enough. I'm the epitome of overreaction Monday when it comes to the NFL. Fire them all.
I mean, and just because you spend money does not equate to wins. I mean, nobody spent more money in the last 25 years than Jerry Jones.
Right.
Tepper's worse than Jerry Jones.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least Jerry's spending money. Tepper's, bad and not spending money.
The worst part about, well, there's a lot of things that are bad about Tepper. I mean, the list is as long as my arm. But the worst thing is I don't even think he cares about winning. All he cares about is making money. And he said so much, basically. Last year when they were terrible in one of his press conferences, they said, well, this and that about the team. What are you going to do to fix it? And he goes, well, we sold out 8 straight concerts at Bank of America Stadium. We're talking about music. They were like, well, okay, what's that got to do with the football team, dickhead? This fucking guy.
Did he really fucking say that?
Yeah, he said that.
Yes, Falcons need to. Yep, new ownership. Yeah.
The Falcons are a mess. That was a fucking infuriating game.
Yeah, it was. The offensive line just couldn't block. I mean, they just couldn't block J.J. Watt. Yeah.
I spent the second pick in our fantasy draft on Bijan. What the fuck was I doing, dude?
Although I made some money betting this week. If I hadn't bet on the NFL, I would have lost money. I ought to stop betting on college and start betting on the NFL, I think. I'm better at that. Oh.
Yes, yeah, we got...
I know a lot less about the NFL than I do college.
That makes it better for betting, I think. You don't overthink it.
Yeah, Caden says he has a few things that he wants to say to me.
Do I want to do this?
No, we've been ignoring him for a while for a reason.
I'll bring him on the last 2 minutes of the show. So hang on there for another 5 minutes or so. I do have to bring this up since Volusia's on here. Volusia.
Yeah.
Is Deshaun Watson ever going to be good again?
I don't know.
He's awful, man.
I'm going to give him this season, and then the Browns are going to give him this season. He's not going to get benched. He's going to play this entire season. And so, I don't know. I still believe in him, but we'll see.
I think they need to start letting him get massages again.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That might help him.
Watson, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the whole season. So I think one game is one game, and I do think Dallas is a pretty good team. He's not going to get benched. That's definitely not going to happen. So
who's the backup?
Well, no,
it doesn't matter. He's not getting benched.
It's James
Winston.
James Winston.
God damn.
No, he's not going to get benched. He's going to play the whole season, and they're going to sink or swim with him, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so they're going to sink then, is what you're saying, yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, the guy hasn't been good in 4 years.
And here's my thing, though. I think it's less on Watson. I think they're trying to force a square peg in a round hole. I think they're trying to get Watson to run a pro-style offense, and that's just not what he's good at.
Well, he's got weapons. I mean, he's got two great running backs. He's got 2 great receivers. He's got a pretty good offensive line. I mean, he is the problem on that offense right now.
What is he good at, Slam?
Well, he's a dual threat guy.
Well, here's the thing. So the one comment in here is stupid. Deshaun sucks. Deshaun Watson was a very, very good NFL quarterback for his first 4 years in the league.
He was. Yeah, he was.
His rookie season, he got hurt halfway through the year, and he was breaking the college. He would have broke Peyton Manning's touchdown record if he hadn't.
It was I think it was his third year. He led the league in passing.
It was his fourth year. His third year, they went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. His fourth year, they weren't good because they got rid of Hopkins and ruined the entire roster, and he still led the entire NFL in passing. So it's the whole thing that's happened since then that's fucked them up. And Slim, to Slim's point, I think there may be a bit of a misfit with the Browns. Now that's you got to figure that out, and I do think that some of that is on Watson for sure.
Look, I hope he turns it around, but I feel like the whole thing that happened with him with the legal cases and everything, it seems like he just never recovered from that. He's broken mentally.
I mean, how much of it is that Albert Haynesworth effect? When you get that much guaranteed money thrown at you, how much do you really give a fuck at that?
Yeah, I know. See, I do think he does give a fuck.
Yeah.
He quit on the Texans, but yeah.
I think he does care, but
where he sat the whole season because he was waiting to get traded.
I mean, I think that Deshaun Watson would love nothing more than to prove all the naysayers wrong. But he's so in. It seems like to me he's so in his own. He used to play very free, and you don't see that anymore. Mm-hmm. He's hesitant.
Yeah, that's where I think there's an element of they're trying to run the wrong system.
Yeah, could be. Look, I think he's still.
You need to run something that caters to his skill set.
I think he needs to date a porn star.
Maybe that too.
Yeah.
He
should do that.
Unclog the pipes a little bit.
But
also, I mean, listen, you see this out of a lot of players, and I just use Albert Haynesworth as an example, but there's a laundry list of them that get that big guaranteed contract and just don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's that guy.
No.
I think what Pete said is right. He wants nothing better than to nothing more rather than to shut everyone up and win a bunch of football games. But he needs to get out of his own head.
I mean, that's easy to say, but a lot harder to do when you're staring at a guaranteed $100+ million.
100+, shit. He's still got $170 million guaranteed left on that contract. That's why they can't afford to get rid of him.
Yeah, they weren't going to cut him and take a $172 million cap hit. That's almost
no. There's not a team. Not even Tepper is not dumb enough to take that contract on.
Well, look, I thought it was a good move at the time because I thought he was going to return to being the Texans version of Watson. That hasn't happened. But then again, he missed the whole year and he got suspended for most of the next year and he was injured for most of last year. So I say we need to give him an entire season this year. And if he continues to be a mediocre or worse quarterback, then maybe it's time to start.
All right, so that brings up the point. So you think he's going to get the whole year no matter what?
Yeah.
Let's say they start 0-4, 0-5. Do you think they still ride with him?
Yes.
I don't know about that. Yes. I think Jameis will be in if that's the case.
I don't think so.
Because the coach is trying to save his job. He didn't give a shit about Deshaun Watson's contract.
Yeah, I mean that's true to an extent, but at the same time, I think there might be a little bit more pressure on him than in most situations, and I do think that the coach does think he's a good quarterback. So,
well,
what's their schedule look like? Let's have a look here.
I mean, Dabo thought that DJ was a good quarterback. How'd that work out?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out he actually is just another slap dick from East Boca.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot about that. You're totally right. All right.
Oh, I haven't forgot about that. The header picture on my Twitter is the exit sign for East Boca in Alabama.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So they play the Vikings next week, who looked good, but I don't know if they are. Then they play the Seahawks. No, I'm sorry. That's wrong. That's preseason.
All right, they're losing to the Vikings. Keep going.
No, I was wrong. That's preseason. They play the Jags next week.
Oh, losing to them.
And they have the Giants at home the week after that. That's a win.
Yeah,
Giants are awful. Yeah, they'll be.
Then they're at the Raiders, who also suck.
Who?
The Raiders.
Still beat them.
I don't think so. Raiders suck. The Browns are just so much better than the Raiders as a roster. And then they play the Commanders after that, who are also pretty shit. Then the Eagles, Bengals, Ravens. All three of those could be losses. Then the Chargers. And then they have
Eagles, Bengals, Ravens. Yeah, that's 3 L's in a row, probably.
2 of them are at
I don't know,
home.
man. The Bengals look bad. So, I mean, talk about
The Bengals look bad. The Bengals will be fine. The Bengals lose the opener every fucking year. I mean, the year they went to the Super Bowl, they started 0-2. This happens every fucking season.
I disagree that the Jags suck. I don't think they do suck. And anybody who's criticizing Trevor Lawrence the way he played, he didn't play great, but
He was fine.
3 or 4. I mean, and we're talking about 15, 20-yard passes just completely dropped. They were money passes, just dropped, and that affects his stats.
They were up 14-0. He was rolling. ETN had a really bad fumble that sucked, and then They took the ball because they were winning. They took the ball out of Trevor's hands at the end of the game, which is stupid because he was playing really well.
Yeah,
he did.
I put that one on the Jags coaching
contract he got though.
Right, he had that one drive when he took back-to-back sacks.
he certainly did. He certainly did deserve that contract. I mean, he's a franchise quarterback.
The way he's fucking playing.
He's a franchise quarterback, and that's what. And he actually took less money too than they were going to give him.
He was good in the game. He's been good.
They should have given him even less.
Yeah, I disagree.
So I think that the Browns will be 4-5 or 5-4 or something like that.
Trevor Lawrence is not the Jags' problem.
No, fuck no.
He's one of them.
No, he's not.
You know,
If you watch their games, he's good. He's not the fucking problem.
He's mid. He's mid.
He is not mid. The team is mid.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield is a better pro quarterback
Stop
than
it.
Trevor Lawrence right
That's not at all the case.
We'll see when it's all said and done. We'll see if that's true, and it won't be true.
Will not be true.
now. Okay, whatever.
Baker Mayfield.
I agree that
Baker
he's a bad
Mayfield was
team.
terrible at the last 2 teams before he got to Tampa Bay. Because guess what?
No,
Tampa Bay's
he
got a
took
good
the
team.
fucking He took the Browns to the playoffs. Something Deshaun Watson can't fucking do.
Deshaun Watson took the Texans to the playoffs
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't take the Browns, did he?
and won.
Not the Browns.
Browns are
I
terrible.
will say, Baker Mayfield did win a playoff game with the Browns. It's one of the
That's
fucking
right,
funniest things I've ever seen in my life. That was such a fucking
And honestly, in 2020, should have won another one. But how they didn't call that fucking targeting in that game is beyond me.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
All right, we got the last couple of minutes of the show here. What's up, Caden?
All right, so Volusia, Slim Shady, and Tater Man, you're gonna let the floor down to me for a few minutes.
Yeah, go
here.
ahead. You got 2 minutes.
I ain't got to do a damn thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Nick 2, you are writing checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash, you little Georgia boy. And I'm gonna tell you this: I've got my football predictions, and let's skip and screw the NFL. This is college football season. Now I'm gonna tell him this.
what?
I wanted him to tell Nate the Noob, your buddy Nate DeGray, that on November 30th, my boys, when they come up to play Michigan, they are going to roast them and they're going to crush them. And I want you to personally deliver that message to him from me. Now, as far as as the remainder of November and December
Based
goes,
on what? Your quarterback?
now I'm going to say this. Hold on, Slim Shady, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Clemson is going to get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by either losing to Miami in the ACC title game, or they get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by a Big 12 or either Georgia or Texas. Now, with that being said, Victor, I'm going to hand you another reality check, boy. I'm going to hand you this. January 20th. I want you to write the date down. January 20th, 2025. It is going to be Ohio State versus Georgia in the national championship title game. And you know how that game's going to go down? It's going to go down with Carson Beck getting his ass rushed by some of the best defensive linemen from the Big Ten. Now, I'm going to tell you that, Vic Tube, so I want you to write that down because I don't want you to be like, oh, this is going to be an easy season. Well, I'm going to tell you this, you porn star lover. I'm going to tell you this. January 20th will be the worst day of your entire life because that is when the Buckeyes will beat the Dogs in the playoffs. And I sincerely know that.
Caden,
And why? Why you're probably
I
asking?
have a question for you.
It's the other way around. We're actually going to beat Ohio State in the national championship.
Victor, I'm telling you, you are writing checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash. I'm telling you, and January 20th is going to be the day I told you so. And I already told Lou this too. January 20th, I told you so. We are coming back for your ass, and we are coming for that national championship. And that is all as far as I'm concerned. Now, as far as our schedule's concerned, nah, we're beating everybody else. We're beating Oregon.
Yeah,
we're
100
beating
to 0.
Penn State. We're
We
beating
know.
everybody else. I don't care if they stick Clemson in the first round in the playoffs against us. We're beating their asses.
So Caden thinks they're
I don't
going.
care if they stick Tennessee. I don't care if they stick Texas. I don't care. Hell, I don't even care if they stick Kansas State or Kansas. We're gonna beat their asses.
Caden thinks they're going 16 or 17 and 0. They never even went 15 and 0.
Hey, JP.
You never even
can
went
do me a
15 and
favor?
0.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
All right, bye. Hey, this guy. If he wants to run a show, he should start his own YouTube channel. He can talk all the shit he wants. But one thing I did learn from that little soliloquy there is that Clemson is losing in the playoffs to Miami in the ACC championship.
I had a serious question. Did he chug like 17 5-hour energies while he was sitting in the back room?
I don't know.
Good
Isn't
God
Celsius
almighty.
the new thing? Is that a thing? You know this? I'm sure y'all do. That Celsius.
Adderall, right?
3 minutes ago, I did not have a headache, and now I do. That's all I do know.
Good God almighty.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, boy, he's hyped up, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'll give him that. He does bring some energy, even if it's not necessarily the energy we want or need, but it is energy.
Now listen, I hope when they lose, he doesn't pull like what was that dude that come on Lou's show all amped up like that?
It's slimy,
Ohio State fan.
slimy hot boy.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't do like him and then just fucking disappears.
It's slimy.
I kind of think that might happen.
We'll find out because they're not going. They're definitely not going 16 or 17 and 0. That's not happening.
No.
Here, you want a not so bold take? I don't think you have an undefeated team in the playoffs this year. I think it's going to be really hard.
I don't think that's bold. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
You mean going into the playoff or coming out of it?
Going into.
Going into
Okay, that's bolder.
I still agree with him.
yeah,
Yeah,
me
it could be.
Well, I mean, just statistically, it's more likely than not.
yeah.
I think in the SEC it's harder. I think in the Big Ten it's harder. I wouldn't necessarily say it's harder in the ACC, but I mean, it's your two best shots at this point are Clemson and Miami. Clemson already has a loss, and I'll never predict Miami to go undefeated.
Right.
Even if they're good, I don't pick anybody to go undefeated.
Definitely not happening in the Big 12. I guess Utah maybe, but
Maybe.
Well, Cam Rising is hurt again, so
Well,
Yeah.
fuck, there goes that.
there goes that.
I don't know. He's not seriously hurt. He's got like some, and he might be fine. But even then, I wouldn't pick them to go undefeated. They're not like that big of a juggernaut.
Yeah, maybe I should drop Utah in my polls since Cam Rising is hurt again.
Nah, I think they're still head and shoulders above everyone else in that league. But
UCF could. No, not no.
No.
And it showed. Didn't Utah get shut out in the second half?
yeah, because Rising didn't play.
Exactly. So I'd be worried that if he is hurt.
Yeah, if he misses a game or two, they'll drop one. They might drop one anyway.
Yeah, I mean they'll lose a game or two. I think Utah's probably going to go to the playoff, but not at 12-0, 13.
I mean, Utah and Oklahoma State were my picks for the Big 12 title game. And listen, I realize Oklahoma State looked bad against Arkansas, but I mean, most people in the Big 12 they're going to play bully ball against and win.
Yeah, they'll.
I mean, Ollie Gordon's just that good.
Yeah, I agree with you. They'll play spoiler to somebody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Gundy is a good coach. They just they had a bad week. Now, I wouldn't even be surprised if Oklahoma State was still in the conversation when it came to the Big 12 title. I mean, I don't think they're better than Utah, but they might play in the game.
Sure.
I've got him picked for it.
Yeah. Oh. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me
Okay.
All right.
today. Anyway, great show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caden was definitely enlightening.
Yeah, I got to take him in short spurts.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know.
That's why I compare him. That's why I make the George comparisons, because he's.
Well, I mean, I can handle George more than I can handle Caden.
I need George to make an appearance, though. I have yet to see George since Miami put belt to ass to the Gators.
Yeah, I can tolerate George a lot more than Caden.
Well, Caden doesn't have discourse. He doesn't know how to have a conversation. He just wants to dominate the whole thing. And
Yeah, he's the type of person, he thinks he's won an argument if he just yells the loudest.
yeah,
He's also kind of like Octavian. Yeah, I can only take Octavian small doses.
I can take Octavian longer than I can take Caden.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
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 Well, plus he's funnier. So, all right, guys. I appreciate you, Slim, Volusia, Vic.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys all coming on.
All right.
Yes,
Till
sir.
next time.
All right, till next time. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for me as well. Thank you for tuning into the Midday Show. Tune into the Lunch Money Show tonight at 10 p.m. on Uncle Lou's second channel. If you're not subscribed to that, I believe it's called LouTube. Yeah, so tune into that. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., the ACC show. That ought to be good with Sea-Dog, and maybe Rec Talk will show up too. Rec Talk actually went to the game in Syracuse. Boy, flew up there and watched them take an L. And then, of course, Wednesday night, the call-in show at 10 p.m. on my main channel. And you guys know the deal with the Midday Show on this channel, Wednesday and Friday. I'll let you guys know exactly what my plans are as far as streaming the games this weekend. I'm looking at probably most likely doing the 3:30 slot. It looks like that's when most of the good games are on. But I'll let you know for sure here in the next couple of days. That's going to do it. You guys have a great rest of your Monday. See you tonight.